Hey guys, it's Trevor the Great here again with another Warmachine battle report. This is a battle report of Game 1 from my last tournament that I went to over the weekend. Makes two tournaments in 2 weeks. Last one was obviously a 35-point steamroller, and it was pretty poor showing, but this one was a little bigger, 50-point steamroller. And I think there were 8 players in this tournament, so still a very small tournament, but much bigger than the last one I went to, which was only 4 players. This is my first experience with 50 points. I've actually never played 50 points before this tournament, so a bit of a learning experience, getting into the groove of playing 50 points, and learned a lot of things. So, my 2 casters that I took to this tournament were Epic Striker and Darius, my 2 favorite casters. Darius, I learned a lot of things after last weekend about playing him, so I decided to run Darius basically as my main caster to see how well I could do with him, and basically how much I could learn about how to play with him. Obviously, I'm still a new player and still trying to figure out how to play this game. So, in my Darius list, I was running, obviously, Darius and his halfjacks and a Squire, the Thunderhead, a Cyclone, a Hammersmith, and a Stormclad. I also had Arlen Strangeways, a unit of Stormblades with the UA, so the Officer and Standard, and Reinhold and a Journeyman Warcaster. So a lot of jacks, a lot of beat face, and trying out the Stormclad again and the Thunderhead. I'm really liking those guys. The more I play with them, the more I can figure out what they do. And the Stormclad is just a giant beat stick, and I love it. He just kills everything. In my Epic Striker list, I was running obviously Striker and the Squire again. Striker had a Lancer, and then the Stormclad was bonded to him. He also had a unit of Stormblades with the unit attachment, a unit of Gun Mages with the unit attachment, and a Hunter, a Journeyman Warcaster with a Hunter, the Black 13th, and Runewood. He had Runewood with him as well. So a lot of, I got a little bit of long-range shooting in there, sort of forced my enemy to come in to me, and then I can counterattack with my bigger units like the Stormblades and the Stormclad, which are pretty slow in the grand scheme of things. And then I have the Gun Mages just to pick off enemy infantry, because obviously the Stormblades they're okay at killing infantry, but they really excel against larger, heavier targets that are easier to hit, and that can take a lot of damage from the high POW Stormblade Stormglaives. So those are my lists. If I can remember off the top of my head, I think there was a Circle player there playing Chromac and I don't remember who else. Oh, Chromac and Kruger, Pete Kruger, I think. There was a Crix player playing Tier 4, both Tier 4 Mort Nebra and Tier 4 Terminus, which was interesting. I think it was Tier 4 Terminus, anyway. There was a Legion player playing Epic Veil. There was 2 Mercenary casters, one playing, I think, P. Magnus, the other one playing Damiano. And then there was another Signar player playing P. Haley. As well as a Menoth player playing Resnick and Harbinger. That's what I can remember off the top of my head. I might have missed 1 or 2 players, but that is what I'm up against. So let's see how I do. Okay, so round 1, I was matched up against the Crix player playing Terminus and Tier 4 Mort Nebra. On second thought, I don't think the Terminus list was Tier 4. I think Tier 4 Terminus has a lot more pirates in it, but I don't remember off the top of my head. So I don't think this was a tier list, but it might have been. I don't play Crix anymore, so I don't really know all the rules. But what he had in his list was a max unit of Mechanothralls with a Brute Thrall, a max unit of Bane Knights, a max unit of Bane Thralls with the UA, Tartarus, a Stalker, Malice, the character Jack, and the Wither Shadow Combine. So obviously a lot of infantry, because Terminus does like having lots of infantry. A lot of things that can kill my Warjacks, but I was really worried about taking my Striker list, which does have a lot of infantry in it, and just having Terminus collect a whole crap ton of souls on his feat turn. So I did take Darius because I didn't want to give my opponent that bonus basically for playing my army. So the only infantry that Darius really has is the Stormblade. So Terminus, if he did get a good feat turn off, could get a couple souls, but not as many as if he had killed a bunch of my Gun Mages or something like that in my Striker list. So that's why I chose my Darius list. Obviously, Bane Thralls and Bane Knights are very good at killing Warjacks, but I was hoping that I would be able to either get some energy pulses off with Thunderhead and whittle down their numbers, or weather the onslaught with arcane shields and things. But we'll see how it goes. Obviously, my first game at 50 points ever, so feeling pretty nervous about this game. Crix is a tough army to play against, no matter what, and especially your first game at 50 points. I wasn't sure how my army was going to work, so I was basically just going to go and see how it went. Okay, so we rolled off. I took the first turn. I don't remember what the name of the scenario we were playing is, but it's a scenario that uses the Killbox Artifice and has a big, long, 36-inch wide objective zone in the center there, so that we need to control in order to win the game. 2 points to win the game. So this is after my first turn. I won the roll to go first. My opponent chose the side he was on. He had taken his guys out on, and so I deployed down and basically ran everything up. Put Arcane Shield onto the Thunderhead. I think I put Fortify onto the Stormclad, just to bump that armor up a little bit more. On second thought, it might have been a better idea to put Fortify onto the Thunderhead, because my opponent did have Malice on that side of the board, but I really wanted the armor bonus on the Thunderhead rather than the Stormclad. But in hindsight, hindsight is 20/20. So we called the ruin in the center just a rolling hill for ease of movement, so it just wouldn't be a giant obstruction in the middle. Although it was very difficult to move up just because it had these weird walls and things like that. So there's a little objective 50mm objective marker up there. That is where the Thunderhead actually is, sort of balanced on one of those walls. But the actual Thunderhead model I put behind it so it wouldn't fall off and break. So yeah, moving up to contest the zone, I'm going to try to basically to get some Warjacks into the zone, get up to the edge of that hill, and hopefully have a commanding position in order to pulse out with the Thunderhead and kill a bunch of bad guys. Okay, here's just after my second turn. I didn't really take a photo of just my opponent's turn because obviously he was just moving up. It was all pretty boring. Terminus cast Malediction on himself, upkept it with the Wither Shadow Combat, and things moved around. So something I forgot to mention earlier is my opponent has a Machine Wraith in his army. That's going to cause me a lot of trouble because obviously the only magical weapon I have besides Arcantrip Bolt from Darius is the stupid little Journeyman's little sword thing. So the Journeyman is on the same side of the Machine Wraith, so hopefully the Machine Wraith will move up and I'll be able to kill it with the Journeyman just to get that threat out of the way. But it is a little bit of an annoyance to the army. So my turn. My turn. I just moved more things up. I mined some of the half-jacks over on the left-hand flank there. The Cyclone put down its covering fire in front of the hill. You can't really see it because the big hill ruin thing is in the way. Moved the Stormblades into the forest. I knew his Bay Knights had Ghostly, but they couldn't. As far as I know, they can't see through forest. So I was hoping to save myself a little bit of an early charge by just hiding some of my guys behind the forest, and just hanging out with my Warjacks in the center there. I think I took some pot shots at the Stalker, which is sort of in that building on the right-hand side, and I might have done a couple points of damage to it with scatters from Darius's gun. But other than that, nothing really happening. Okay, so I did miss a turn on. I did miss my opponent's turn. Again, missed a photo on that. So this photo is of the bottom of my third round, my third turn. We had a little bit of a rules dispute here. I had my Cyclone and my Hammersmith and Thunderhead just towing the zone to contest it, so my opponent wouldn't get any points from that. But I also had a half-jack in the middle that was also contesting it. So he ran up with Tartarus and a couple of the Bane Thralls and was able to kill the half-jack pretty easily. And at the end of his turn, he said, "Well, I score a point." And I said, "Well, I don't think so because I have models within the zone, and the Steamroller pack says within the zone." And he told me that there had been an errata that made it completely within the zone. I don't remember that happening, but a couple other players told me that was true as well. So I decided not to press the issue. The Steamroller pack does say within the zone instead of completely within. So I lost a point there. I decided to give my opponent the benefit of the doubt. But I was a little annoyed at that, just because I wish I'd known it a little earlier. But I guess that was my fault for not knowing that. I would have moved my jacks up a little bit further and just been in a little more commanding position if I had known that and not hung back a little bit. So what my opponent did in his turn was obviously upkept Malediction with his with the Wither Shadow Combine, moved up Terminus, moved up everything basically, moved up some of the Bane Knights into the forest there, and then charged a couple of my my Stormblades with his Stalker Warjack. Ran into the forest. I think he got 1 or 2 of them with that pretty easily. Basically just putting pressure on Darius. Like, I have to deal with that Stalker right away, otherwise it's going to come and either kill all my solos or start killing Darius himself. Other than that, he basically just moved things up. He fired at Thunderhead with Malice. Thunderhead is again with where the little objective marker is. On top of that hill there, I really don't want to put my big $50 model on top of the wall there and have it fall off and break. So so he fired it at Thunderhead with Malice and ended up missing, which was very lucky for me, and will probably allow me to go in and pulse and kill a bunch of his Bane Thralls in my turn, and which is what I did. So this photo is obviously at the end of my turn. What I've done is I walked up with the Stormclad and punched the Stalker till it died pretty easily. Wasn't too hard with POW 19. Continued to put a couple of pot shots into the Bane Knights, I think, with Darius's gun. I assaulted the Bane Knights with the Stormblades. I killed a couple of them. So I think he might be down to about half of the Bane Knights are dead at this point. But I am in like a counter charge range. I do still have Fortify on the Stormclad, hoping that will save me from utter destruction at the hands of the Bane Knights. But we'll see how that goes. Thunderhead moved up and pulsed and killed Tartarus. It didn't kill Tartarus. It did a couple points of damage to Tartarus, and then had some focus on it, so it bought an attack with its gun and auto hit Tartarus and killed him. And then I hit 4 or 5 Bane Thralls, and he made a whole bunch of tough rolls with them. I think he made 4 out of 5 of his tough rolls with the Bane Thralls. But then I bought a couple attacks on the Bane Thralls, auto hit, and just killed a bunch of them. So I think there's 1 Bane Thrall left in the center of the board there. I did run out of time this turn. I was not prepared for the 10-minute time turns on the 50-point Steamroller set. So my opponent had his Machine Wraith in between the Hammersmith and the Cyclone there. So my plan was I was going to use Arlen. Arlen's sort of sitting on the left-hand side of the little the building ruin thing there. Arlen was going to move up, power boost the Hammersmith. The Hammersmith was going to run right into the middle of all the Mechanothralls, and with Arm 19, hopefully just be annoying and sit in the middle and just hang out there. Then I was going to charge with the Journeyman onto the Machine Wraith and kill it with his magical sword and have the Machine Wraith not be annoying for the rest of the game. And that unfortunately I wasn't able to do that because I did run out of time, so I didn't get to activate the Hammersmith or Arlen or the Journeyman. So that was very unfortunate. Now he's got a Machine Wraith sitting in the middle of my guys, hanging out and being annoying. Okay, so here's the last photo of the game. This is a little bit of an interesting photo. So what happened in my opponent's turn was that because I'd only been able to activate the Thunderhead basically on that flank, I wasn't able to move any other models up into completely within the zone, which meant the Thunderhead was the only thing contesting the zone for my opponent. So all he needed to do was move up with Malice. He'd shoot the Thunderhead with Malice's gun. He boosted a hit and hit pretty easily. Pulled the Thunderhead all the way over to Malice and then charged it with a bunch of Bane Thralls and killed it pretty easily, which was really unfortunate. That allowed him to score his second point and just win the game right there. So again, a little annoyed at the fact that I didn't know how. Basically, yeah, I didn't know that completely within rather than within was how the scenario worked, was how Steamroller worked. So a little annoyed that I didn't know that. Also a little annoyed that I ran out of time on my left-hand side there, and that was just my fault. That was me being new to the system, new to the format, and not really being able to time my turns well. I will certainly keep that in mind for future rounds. So we decided to keep going one more round just to see what would happen. We ended really early because obviously like turn 3, turn 4, something like, yeah, turn 3 I think that I lost the game. So we kept going. So this is the end of my 4th turn. So what happened was the the Bay Knights had run in and charged the Stormclad, did a couple points of damage to it, but it was armor 21, and they weren't really able to get too much damage out on it. So and then he moved up Terminus and tried to Dragon's Breath a bunch of the Storm Blades and kill them. So I think he killed 2 Storm Blades with his Dragon's Breath, and then basically threatened Darius. So he could kill Darius next turn. So what I don't think he bargained on was the Crane from Darius. He was engaging the Stormclad with the Bane Knights, so it would have been tough for me to just charge Terminus with the Stormclad because I probably would have just gotten killed. So what I did was I moved up Darius and craned the Stormclad out of melee range of the Bane Knights. Stormclad moved up and then swung at Terminus and killed him. I almost stuffed myself on the assassination run there though, because I did forget that I needed to be within 2 inches at the beginning of the Stormclad's activation in order to accumulate. So what I did was I had ran the Stormblade officer up within 2 inches of the Stormclad, and then I forgot that I was going to crane it with Darius, so I actually craned it out of accumulation range, so it only had 2 focus on it rather than the 3 that I needed. But Darius did have full throttle on, so I was able to boost all my attack rolls, didn't miss any of my attacks, and then I rolled really well on my last damage roll and was able to kill Terminus, and he failed his tough roll and killed him. So not exactly the most legitimate of assassinations, just because he'd already won the game, but it was fun to keep going and see how it would have ended. And Darius's crane thing is a fun little trick that I can keep up my sleeve for situations just like that. So hope you guys enjoyed this battle report. Good game to my opponent. It did have a good game, even though there were a couple rules disputes and I played the game very badly. So hopefully I'll be able to play way better in round 2. Stay tuned for that bat rep.